The universe did not pause for wars, treaties, or empires. But it paused for a question. Sir, are these enough to buy a father? The spaceport went silent. Not the kind of silence caused by fear or weapons. This was worse. It was confusion. A sudden, uncomfortable stillness that spread through the massive alien trade station like a held breath. Commander Elias Rowan stood frozen behind the customs counter, his hands still hovering above the scanner. He had processed thousands of beings from 100 species. Smugglers, diplomats, refugees, creatures made of crystal, gas, and things he still couldn't pronounce. None of them had ever placed 3 rusted metal discs into his hand and asked that question. The girl couldn't have been more than 8 standard years old. She was small, even by human standards. Her skin was a soft blue-gray, dulled by hunger and stress. Large silver eyes reflected the glow of docking lights above, eyes far too old for her small body. Her clothes were patched from different species fabrics, stitched together with uneven care. And the coins. They were ancient. Human-made. So old their markings were almost gone. Earth currency. Pre-expansion era. Commander Rowan swallowed. Where did you get these? He asked gently. My papa, the girl replied. Her voice was calm, like she was stating the weather. He said humans still understand old things. Around them, aliens pretended not to listen. They failed. Word traveled fast in neutral space. A human commander holding ancient coins. A child asking for a father. Rowan crouched to her level. What's your name? Sarali. And where is your father, Sarali? The girl hesitated, then spoke with brutal honesty. He stayed behind so I could escape. Rowan closed his fingers around the coins. Every human knew what that meant. The station's security feed caught the moment and quietly flagged it. Not as a threat, but as an anomaly. Within minutes, unseen eyes across multiple governments began watching. Sarali tilted her head. Is it not enough? She asked again. Rowan exhaled slowly. Come with me. He led her away from the counter, ignoring the protocol alarms chiming softly in his implant. He guided her to a small observation room overlooking the stars. Ships drifted by like glowing whales in a dark ocean. Rowan handed the coins back. These coins can't buy people, he said. Sarali's shoulders slumped. Just slightly. But, he continued, they can buy time. She looked up. Time for what? For humans to talk. That night, something unheard of happened. A low-level customs incident triggered a closed emergency session of the Terran Assembly. Not because of the child. Because of the coins. Archaeologists confirmed it within minutes. The metal composition matched a forgotten earth alloy used only during the collapse era, when humanity nearly wiped itself out and rebuilt from scraps and stubborn hope. Coins from that time were rare. Coins given by a father were priceless. While politicians argued, Commander Rowan sat on the floor of the observation room, sharing a protein bar with Sarali. She ate carefully, saving half without being asked. For later, she explained. In case later is bad. Rowan felt something tighten in his chest. Why humans? He asked. My papa said, she replied, when everything breaks, find the species that fixes instead of conquers. Rowan laughed softly. We don't always fix things. But you try, Sarali said. Other species don't. Across the station, an alien delegation watched the feeds with growing concern. Sarali was Verin. Her species had been erased by the Korth Dominion, efficiently, legally, and quietly. No protests. No wars. Just extinction paperwork. The Dominion did not expect this. They did not expect a child to walk into human space carrying relics tied to humanity's darkest, proudest era. They did not expect humans to care. By morning, the station buzzed with rumors. Humans had shut down a docking ring for maintenance. Humans had assigned guards to a refugee who wasn't theirs. Humans were arguing, not about profit, but responsibility. Sarali slept on a bench wrapped in a human thermal jacket. Rowan stood watch. A Korth envoy arrived at dawn. Tall. Pale. Smiling. You are harboring stolen biological property, the envoy said smoothly. Return the child. Rowan didn't raise his voice. She asked us a question. The envoy blinked. What question could matter more than law? Rowan looked down at Sarali. Then back up. She asked if 3 old coins were enough to buy a father. The envoy scoffed. Absurd. Rowan nodded. That's what we said about freedom once. Silence stretched. Then Rowan did something no one expected. He activated the station-wide channel. Attention, his voice echoed calmly. A child is asking for family. Any human who believes we still stand for something, report to Doc 7. Across the galaxy, signals lit up. Retired soldiers. Engineers. Medics. Teachers. People who had lost everything and rebuilt anyway. Humans remembered who they were. And the universe watched in shock as a species known for war chose something far more dangerous. They chose to care. Sarali stirred in her sleep. Her fingers curled around the coins. For the first time since her world burned, hope answered back. The first human arrived at Dock 7 before Commander Rowan finished his second cup of cold coffee. She was older, grey-haired, wearing a mechanic's jacket patched with obsolete fleet insignias. Her name was Mara Holt. Former shipwright. Retired after losing her son in a border war no one remembered anymore. She stood awkwardly in front of Rowan. I heard the call, she said. Didn't know if you meant it. Rowan looked at her, then stepped aside. I meant every word. Sarali sat on the floor nearby, lining up bolts and washers she'd scavenged from a maintenance crate. She looked up, cautious but curious. Mara knelt slowly, making sure her movements were gentle. Hello, she said. I'm Mara. Sarali studied her face, then nodded once. Do you fix things? Sarali asked. Mara smiled sadly. Broken ships. Broken people. Sometimes both. Sarali considered this. Then she pushed one of the coins forward across the floor. For Papa, she said. Mara's breath hitched. She didn't touch the coin. I don't think I'm who you're looking for, she said softly. Sarali pulled the coin back without offense. That's okay, she said. You came anyway. By midday, Dock 7 was full. They came quietly. No banners. No weapons. Just humans. A doctor who specialized in alien biology. A teacher fluent in 6 non-human languages. A logistics officer who knew how to move families through hostile space. A farmer who had raised 5 adopted children on a dead moon colony. They didn't shout. They waited. The alien observers didn't understand what they were seeing. This wasn't recruitment. This wasn't conquest. This was selection. The Korth Dominion envoy returned with reinforcements. Legal teams. Security drones. A statement prepared for the Galactic Council. You are violating interstellar statute, the envoy announced. The Verin child is classified salvage under Dominion law. Rowan didn't argue. He projected a single image instead. A Verin city. Burning. Children running. A father placing coins into a small hand and sealing an escape pod. The station's public channels carried the image live. These laws, Rowan said, were written by those who survived their own cruelty. Humans did that once too. We learned. The envoy's voice sharpened. Emotion does not override law. Rowan nodded. No. But precedent does. He gestured toward Dock 7. You see those people? None of them were ordered here. None of them gain profit. If you remove this child by force, every human government will see it as an act against our core doctrine. What doctrine? The envoy sneered. Rowan didn't hesitate. Chosen family. The phrase spread faster than any virus. Chosen family. It reached Earth in minutes. Mars in seconds. Outer colonies before lunch. Human networks lit up, not with outrage, but with coordination. Lawyers began drafting arguments. Engineers rerouted aid ships. Historians pulled records of extinct species humanity had once failed to help. They would not fail again. Sareli watched it all from the floor, holding Mara's hand now without realizing when she'd taken it. "Why are they doing this?" she whispered. Mara answered honestly. "Because once, we were alone too." That night, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. For the first time in recorded history, humanity didn't send a fleet. They sent people. Rowan stood before representatives of 100 species. Behind him stood Sareli, wearing a clean jacket someone had resized overnight. The Dominion spoke first. "Cold. Precise. The Verin are extinct. This child is a remnant. Resources spent protecting her are wasted." Rowan waited. Then he spoke. "Extinction is not an excuse. It is a warning." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "We are not asking permission to protect her," Rowan continued. "We are informing you of what happens next." He gestured behind him. Sareli asked if 3 old coins were enough to buy a father. "Humans don't buy people. We choose them." He knelt. "Eye level with her." "Sareli," he said gently, "do you know what a father is?" She nodded. "A father stays," she said. "Even when it hurts." Rowan stood. "Humanity stays." The council attempted to vote. The vote failed. Not because of humans. Because other species began to abstain. Then support. Then alignment. They had watched humanity fight wars. They had never seen humanity fight for something this small. The Dominion realized too late what they had triggered. You can crush resistance. You can outgun fleets. But you cannot defeat a species that decides love is a strategy. By dawn, the Council issued a temporary ruling. Sareli would remain under human protection until a permanent guardian was chosen, by her. The Korth envoy left without speaking. Sareli didn't cheer. She just looked tired. That evening, she sat with Rowan and Mara near the viewport. "Do I have to choose now?" she asked quietly. Rowan shook his head. "No." She nodded, relieved. The coins rested on the table between them, faintly warm. Unnoticed, human scientists studying them began to panic. The coins weren't symbolic. They were keys. Ancient. Verin. Designed to respond only to intent, not blood. They were waking up. And somewhere far beyond human space, Dominion sensors screamed as something long dormant reactivated. The universe had not just witnessed kindness. It had witnessed a species unlock a legacy meant for those who protect without conquest. Sareli leaned against Mara and yawned. "Can we have tea tomorrow?" she asked. Rowan smiled. "Yes," he said. "As much as you want." Above them, the stars shifted. Humanity had answered the question. The galaxy was about to hear the consequences. The coins began to sing. Not out loud. Not in sound anyone could record. But every human near them felt it, a low pull behind the eyes, like a memory trying to surface. Engineers described it as pressure. Medics called it resonance. Sareli simply said it felt warm, like sitting near someone who cared if you were cold. The research lab aboard the station sealed itself automatically when the first data spike appeared. Human scientists stared at the readings in disbelief. The coins were not storage devices in the normal sense. They were not computers. They were not weapons. They were agreements. Ancient Verin technology responded to intent, ethics, and choice. Not commands. Not authority. Not ownership. The moment Sareli had offered the coins freely, the system had activated. Humanity had passed a test without knowing one existed. Dr. Kenji Alvarez leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "These things are impossible," he muttered. "They don't obey physics. They don't obey hierarchy. They only respond when someone chooses to protect another at cost to themselves." Across the room, a hologram bloomed. Star maps. Hidden routes. Shielding techniques far beyond current galactic standards. Methods for building habitats without stripping planets bare. Defensive systems that neutralized aggression without killing. It was not an Empire's toolbox. It was a survivor's guide. "Why hide this?" someone asked. Kenji answered quietly. "Because power always looks for control. The Verin designed this for whoever came after them, whoever proved they wouldn't repeat the same mistakes." The Dominion noticed the energy spike within hours. Their analysts were faster than their conscience. A task force mobilized. Not to negotiate. To erase the problem. On the station, alarms began to howl. Red lights flashed. Docking clamps disengaged. Civilian ships scrambled. Commander Rowan stood in the command pit, listening to reports flood in. Multiple Dominion warships exiting FTL. Vector confirms hostile posture. They're not hailing. Rowan closed his eyes briefly. So they chose force. Behind him, Sareli sat on a bench swinging her legs. She had learned how to make tea with Mara and insisted on helping even now, carefully pouring steaming liquid into cups that shook only a little. She walked up to Rowan and held one out. "Tea helps thinking," she said. Rowan accepted it. "Thank you." She looked up at the displays. "Are they coming for the coins?" "Yes." "For me?" Rowan hesitated. "Yes." Sareli nodded once. Then she surprised him. "Then I choose faster." Rowan turned. "What do you mean?" She placed the 3 coins on the console. They pulsed brighter, responding to her voice. "My papa said choosing late is how bad things win," she said simply. "I don't want to wait." The room went silent. The coins lifted into the air. Light poured outward, not blinding, not violent. Calm. Certain. A projection filled the command center. A Verin man appeared. Older than the first recording. Worn. Tired. Kind. "To the one who stands when my child can't," the image said. "If you see this, then the test has been answered twice." Sareli stepped forward. "I found them," she said. "They stayed." The image smiled. "Then hear this, humanity." The data expanded. Not just knowledge, but permission. The Verin had not only hidden technology, they had embedded a legal framework older than the Galactic Council itself. A compact signed by dozens of ancient species who believed extinction should never be final if someone was willing to protect the last light. The Dominion had violated it. Repeatedly. Human legal teams gasped. This wasn't just moral ground. It was law. Older law. Binding law. The projection continued. To accept this legacy is to accept responsibility. You will be targeted. You will be tested. You will be hated by those who profit from silence. Rowan didn't flinch. "We already are," he said. The Verin smiled wider. "Then you are ready." Outside the station, Dominion ships opened fire. Human defenses activated. Not weapons. Barriers. Energy fields bloomed that bent incoming fire harmlessly into light. Ships attempting to lock weapons found their systems refusing commands. Targeting reticles grayed out. Dominion captains shouted orders. Nothing happened. The Verin systems did not disable ships. They disabled intent to harm. Human engineers watched in awe. "This is insane," someone whispered. "It's rewriting engagement logic at a fundamental level." Rowan stood tall. "Broadcast to all channels," he ordered. "We are not attacking. We are enforcing protection." The message echoed across space. The Dominion fired again. Nothing. Panic spread through their ranks. "You cannot win this way," their commander snarled over an open channel. Rowan replied calmly. "We don't need to win." Sareli tugged his sleeve. "I choose him," she said softly. Rowan looked down. "Who?" She pointed. Not at him. At Mara. Mara froze. "I'm not strong enough," she whispered. "I'm just tired." Sareli stepped into her arms. "That's what staying looks like," she said. The coins dimmed, settling into Mara's hands. The station sensors confirmed it. Guardian selected. Across the galaxy, something shifted. The Verin legacy locked itself to humanity, not as rulers, not as saviors, but as keepers. The Dominion fleet retreated. Not defeated. Disqualified. The council reconvened hours later. This time, the vote passed unanimously. Chosen family was recognized as a protected status under galactic law. Extinction clauses were outlawed. Refugees gained rights. All because a child asked a question, and humans answered without asking what they'd gain. That night, Sareli slept soundly for the first time in years. Mara sat beside her, afraid to move. Rowan stood at the viewport watching stars drift by. Humanity had not fired a single shot. And yet, the balance of the galaxy had changed forever. The coins rested quietly now. But deep within them, systems waited. Not for orders. For the next choice. The Dominion did not accept disqualification. They never had. Where weapons failed, they turned to pressure. Where pressure failed, they turned to lies. Across the galaxy, subtle shifts began to ripple through trade routes, legal forums, and information networks. Human cargo shipments were delayed for inspection. Medical aid bound for allied worlds vanished into bureaucratic voids. News feeds quietly reframed the events at Dock 7 as human manipulation. The story changed. A frightened child became a calculated political tool. Protection became interference. Kindness became control. The Dominion understood something important. They could not fight humanity directly anymore. So they tried to isolate it. Commander Rowan felt it within days. Calls went unanswered. Allies hesitated. Even species that had voted in favor of chosen family protections began to grow quiet. Fear worked faster than fire. Rowan gathered the station council, humans and non-humans alike. They're trying to starve us out, someone said. Not with weapons, another added. With doubt. Mara sat near the back, Sareli asleep against her side. She listened, silent, fingers brushing the edge of the coins now resting in a sealed case beside her chair. Rowan looked at the room. We could threaten sanctions. We could reveal everything in the Verin archive. That would fracture the council, a diplomat warned. Rowan nodded. Exactly. The room fell quiet. Then Sareli stirred. She rubbed her eyes and sat up, still half asleep. Why don't you let them choose? She asked. Everyone turned. Let who choose? Rowan asked gently. The people who are scared, Sareli said. Papa said when someone lies, you don't shout louder. You show quieter. Rowan felt a slow smile form. Show them what? Sareli yawned. Us. Humanity did not issue threats. They opened doors. Every human station designated a quiet port, zones where refugees, traders, and diplomats could dock without inspection fees, propaganda filters, or political oversight. No weapons. No speeches. Just services. Medical care. Education. Repairs. Food grown sustainably and shared freely. No flags. No demands. The Dominion scoffed. Then traders rerouted. Refugees chose human space over sanctioned corridors. Independent worlds noticed something strange. Crime rates dropped near human ports. Disputes settled faster. People stayed longer than planned. Humanity was not expanding territory. They were expanding trust. Dominion analysts panicked. You cannot fight an economy built on goodwill, one admitted. Then poison it, another suggested. The smear campaign intensified. False reports. Fabricated footage. Claims that the coins were mind control devices. The breaking point came when a neutral world, Terralese, cut diplomatic ties with humanity. Rowan watched the announcement in silence. Mara found him hours later in the observation room. They are scared, she said. So am I, Rowan admitted. Sareli played nearby, carefully dismantling and reassembling a broken datapad. What if we lose? Rowan asked quietly. Sareli looked up. Then we keep staying, she said. Papa stayed even when he lost. Rowan exhaled. The next move was not Rowan's idea. It came from an engineer on Lunar Station. A simple proposal. Open the archive. Not the technology. The stories. Human historians worked with Verin data to reconstruct lives, families, songs, daily routines, jokes. Not battle logs. Not weapons. Lives that had existed. They released it publicly. No commentary. No accusation. Just remembrance. Across the galaxy, people watched Verin children laugh in recordings. Saw fathers teaching small hands how to hold tools. Mothers arguing playfully over meals. Extinction stopped being abstract. It became personal. On Terralese, protests erupted. Why did we turn away? They were people. We were told they were dangerous. Dominion ambassadors scrambled. Too late. The Galactic Council reconvened, not because humans demanded it, but because the public did. The Dominion tried to block the session. Humanity did not object. They waited. When the Council finally met, Rowan spoke only once. "We are not asking you to choose sides," he said. "We are asking you to choose memory over convenience." Then he stepped back. Mara stood instead. She was not a commander. Not a politician. Just a woman holding a sleeping child. "I didn't want to be a guardian," she said simply. "I wanted to rest. I wanted my grief to be enough." Her voice wavered, but she continued. "But she asked if 3 old coins could buy a father. And I realized, staying is a decision you make every day." Silence filled the chamber. Mara looked directly at the Dominion delegates. "You erased a people because it was efficient," she said. "We honor them because it's hard." Sareli stirred and hugged her tighter. "I choose her," Sareli murmured. Something broke. Not loudly. Quietly. The council voted again. This time, sanctions were placed on the Dominion. Not military. Economic. Cultural. Access-based. Their ships could travel, but no one would trade. No one would dock. No one would forget. The Dominion withdrew from the chamber in fury. But it was over. They had lost the one battlefield they never understood. Narrative. Weeks passed. Human ports flourished. Non-human worlds requested guidance, not dominance. "How do you do this?" they asked. Rowan answered honestly. "We listen first." One night, Rowan found Mara and Sareli watching stars. "You didn't have to choose this life," he said to Mara. Mara smiled tiredly. "No," she said. "But I did." Sareli leaned against her. "Does that mean I bought a father?" she asked. Mara laughed softly. "No," she said. "You found one." Sareli thought for a moment. Then the coins were too much, she decided. Rowan looked at the stars. Humanity had not won a war. They had changed what winning meant. And far away, in forgotten systems, ancient mechanisms stirred. The Verin legacy was not finished. It had one final test. And humanity would have to answer it without witnesses. The signal arrived without warning. No alarms. No explosions. No threat display. Just a soft priority alert that bypassed every system on the station and appeared only on 3 screens. Commander Rowan's, Mara's, and Sareli's. The message was old, older than the Verin extinction, older than the Council, older than most civilizations still breathing. It carried no language. Only intent. Rowan felt it first. A weight, pressing gently but firmly, like a hand on his shoulder. Mara felt it next. A pull in her chest, the same ache she used to feel standing over her son's empty bed years ago. Sareli smiled. "It's asking," she said. Rowan swallowed. "Asking what?" "If we'll stay," Sareli replied. The room dimmed as the coins lifted from their case, glowing brighter than they ever had. Not violently. Not urgently. Patiently. A projection unfolded, vast and quiet. Not a man this time. Not a face. A record. Star systems marked in red. Civilizations lost not to war, but to indifference. Species that had sent one last signal and received none in return. The Verin legacy was not just protection. It was inheritance. The technology embedded in the coins could do something unprecedented. It could seed life support networks across dead systems, rebuild ecosystems, preserve cultures digitally and biologically. But there was a cost. It required guardians, not overseers, not rulers, people willing to stay for centuries, to teach, to protect, to refuse shortcuts, to live alongside others without owning them. Humanity was being offered the chance to become something the galaxy had never seen. Caretakers of continuity. Rowan felt his pulse quicken. This would change everything, he whispered. We could save millions. Mara didn't answer immediately. She looked down at Sarali. If we say yes, she said slowly, we don't get to stop when it's inconvenient. We don't get to quit when it hurts. Sarali nodded. That's what staying is, she said. Rowan closed his eyes. The galaxy would never know if they refused. No punishment. No retaliation. This test had no witnesses. Only choice. He thought of Earth's history. Of wars fought for power. Of mistakes repeated because they were easier than learning. Then he thought of Doc 7. Of a child with 3 rusted coins. We accept, Rowan said. The coins flared once. And then the universe changed. Quietly. No grand announcement followed. No parade. Humanity did not claim the legacy publicly. They integrated it. Slowly. Carefully. Engineers adapted Verin systems to coexist with existing worlds instead of replacing them. Teachers trained mixed-species crews. Medics learned biology that had nearly been erased. Human ships began appearing in dead zones, not to mine, but to restore. Human settlements refused to grow unless invited. The Dominion tried one last act of sabotage. It failed. Not because humans stopped them. Because no one else would help. The galaxy had learned a new measure of strength. Years passed. Sarali grew. Not quickly. Not safely. But surrounded by hands that stayed. She learned human languages. Alien sciences. History, especially the parts where humans failed, and what they did afterward. Mara aged. Slower than she expected. Faster than she wanted. One evening, sitting beneath a recreated Verin sky on a restored moon, Sarali asked a question. Did my papa know this would happen? Mara thought. I think he hoped, she said. Sarali nodded. That's very human, she said. Rowan retired quietly. He refused statues. Refused titles. He taught. The council eventually realized humanity was no longer competing for influence. They were redefining relevance. 1,000 years later, long after Dominion borders faded into footnotes, a child on a distant station asked a question. Not about power. Not about weapons. Will you stay? The child asked a human caretaker. The human knelt. Yes, they said. And somewhere, far away, 3 old coins shimmered softly, still warm, still waiting. Because humanity had never been the strongest species in the galaxy. They were the ones who stayed. And that was enough.